watching Equatorial TV. Let's rock it.
Representatives of the foreign dignitaries who are here, we fully recognize your presence. Our members of the diplomatic corps who are here, ambassadors, greatly delighted to be here. Representatives of the joint operating companies, I can see them, led by their MD, Bernard. Nice seeing all of you in one line. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, but I would like to have a special recognition of the following. I would like to be pleased to have the Executive Chairman, the African Energy Chairman, Mr. Ayuk. We listened to your wonderful speech, encouraging to this young nation. Also to have His Excellency Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, APO Secretary General, and most excitingly, ladies and gentlemen, to have Mohammed Muralla. This is the research division of OPEC. I think it is the first time for us in our oil and gas conference to have a member of OPEC. I think you have come to listen and hear what we are saying. And then my two friends, I must mention, who are here. Tokozo Chawabe, the Director General from South Africa. And again, our Honorable Deputy Minister, Magna Mudayiwa from Zimbabwe. My fellow citizens who are here, these two countries who are here today assisted us enormously to get our independence. That was a struggle for us to liberate our country, but now you have come here because we have a second liberation that we are involved in, and for you to be with us in this boat, I would like to extend to you, plus other members coming from different countries. Here, Equatorial Guinea is here, a beautiful country that we visited before, and many other countries that have interest to see what the future of oil and gas in the Republic of South Sudan reflect. I bring you all the greetings, the warm welcome of our President, Salva Kiir Mayardit. Distinguished guests, he would have been here this morning. But you know, on Thursdays, every Thursdays, he is engaged with our military headquarters and Ministry of Defense to discuss the issues of the army. And so he's not even near our places here. He's right up at Bilpam, quite far away, engaged in trying to resolve and see the problems and challenges, and his role as the Commander-in-Chief of the South Sudan People's Defense Forces and the other organized forces of the Republic of South Sudan. We have heard from our wonderful Minister of Petroleum. I would like to express my delight that my colleagues are here. I would like to appreciate the presence of Honorable Martin Abucha, our Minister of Mining. I hope our next conference next year, I hope you will organize one conference to tell us about our enormous mineral potential and resources in this country. And for you to strengthen our Minister of Petroleum is a great thing to have. Honorable Dier Tongor, our Minister of Finance, I recognize your presence and your role and the challenges you are facing. Honorable Peter Marcelo has not come of energy, and more specifically, our host minister, Honorable Port Kwang Chol, the Minister of Petroleum, a dynamic minister, an old man who is doing a good job. Our governor of Western Bahr al-Ghazal, you are warmly welcome. And you see, the presence of these ministers also is an indication that South Sudan is indeed willing to move forward. And what I'm going to share with you this morning is to deliver to you the statement of our president. This is not Minister of Presidential Affairs Barnaba Marial's statement. This is the statement of His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit, because he really wanted to be here in order to be together with you and interact with some of our international guests that have come, and also to share with you what his thoughts are about his country. So I will begin to read. So while I say his words, you must know it is him who is saying these words. Don't look at my picture. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 6th Oil and Power Conference here in Juba under the theme of Engine of East African Growth. This theme deserves broader discussion, and I encourage, to repeat, I encourage the organizers and congratulate them to ensure that all the delegates, the keynote speakers, panelists, and investors have enough time. Mr. Minister is requesting that they should have enough time to dwell on these issues that they will discuss this morning. The stakeholders in this conference need time to explore of how to raise capital to build critical infrastructure that supports energy projects. When you talk of energy and power in South Sudan, it is an engine for the Republic of South Sudan. First of all, we are the youngest nation on earth. Nobody will deny that. We are number 163 of the United Nations. We are number 54, the African Union. And you know, when in UK, when Scotland was having a referendum, they wanted to vote because they wanted to have a state of their own, like South Sudan. So I met after the result, I met the Minister of Foreign Affairs of UK, and I say, you know, congratulations. The result of referendum is that people of Scotland have decided not to become a state of their own. And then he said, what's your interest there? So I said, I'm very happy about it. He said, you are happy? Why? I say, if Scotland had become another state, we were not going to be the youngest nation on earth. So, Your Excellencies, when we talk about oil and energy, this is because this resource is to open up the resources, the enormous resources that the Republic of South Sudan has. We need this country. You are talking of 644 square kilometers of land Beautiful land, agricultural land. There is no piece of land you can throw away in this country. Our highest potential. We needed to kick it off. Not only to feed our people, but to feed even this continent. It is the money that we get from this will help us to kick off this resource. Building our roads so that our people can go stay in their villages and make use of the land they have. Plan what they can for themselves and for their markets and for the external markets. So when you talk about energy, oil and energy in South Sudan, it is the key for development. So our use of oil resource is a very important thing. You need to build our roads, like our minister was saying before. Our population, say 14, 15 million in this country. We need our children to have schools, decent schools to go to. We need to have hospitals, like Port Kang was saying. Very strong mother, his mother, definitely. I am so pleased you were talking about giving equal opportunities to women, because during the war your mother was running, and in fact she managed to give birth to you. You are alive, you should be lucky. That's why they call you Port. We need resources to have our hospitals, to have our roads. So this, when we talk about energy, it is the only, as he said by the Minister of Finance, 85% of financial needs of this country are from oil. So it is an opener. And that's why we really need a friend from OPEC, that when South Sudan, how much oil are we getting now? Less than a quarter of what we can get out. Less than a quarter. So the need and the use for oil in this country is just like an emergency situation. And I hope he will be an ambassador to support our minister. Now, the milestones we have achieved, President continues, so far in the implementation of peace agreement, demonstrate that we need stability in our country. These milestones have already led to a relatively stable and peaceful environment. There are exceptions of intercommunal fighting that are currently being managed by local communities and state governments. Further, some key reforms outlined in the revitalized peace agreement are being undertaken by various institutions, like our communal violence. There are things needed. Development is required in order to reduce. You know, some of our community, when you talk about the Murles and the Nuers and the Dinkas fighting, or the Taposa and others, this has been there since 1898, when the British were here. They stayed 56 years. They couldn't resolve it. Sudan became independent for another 56 years. They couldn't resolve it. The self-government of the South came for so many years, 17 years or so. They couldn't resolve it. We are now just 10 years above a bit. We are struggling with it. But the only thing that can resolve it is if we educate our children, if we develop our resources, if we engage our population. And this goes that the key we have now is oil and energy that will give us our own resources, that will make us decide to develop our country. So the revitalized peace agreement are being undertaken by various institutions. This is important. For example, reforms such as the formation of the Public Financial Management Oversight Committee. And this financial committee, as the Minister of Finance was talking about it, is actually supported by Troika, which is UK, United States, and Norway. European Union, our ambassador is here. Thank you for being here. African Union, IGAD, and many others, have been going on for a while now. Now, this same process is always supported by international financial institutions that have come here, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the African Union, and the African Development Bank. At present, key milestones have been implemented. We must admit, yes, people say, we are not implementing the peace agreement. No, we are. Peace agreement is not easy to implement overnight. With the CPA, did we solve the problem of BA? We are still hanging with it. So at present, key milestones have been implemented. We have a functioning executive. We have a legislature, Council of State and Parliament, which are working very robustly. We have a judicial system. These form the elements of a good governance, and they have to be given the capacity and the time to grow. In addition, in the case of the security arrangements, already trained and graduated nearly 53,000 troops. Tell me where in Africa where you can train at one time 50,000 troops. And we did that. Tell me one country that has done that. At the present moment, because we want stability and peace. And once we have our stability and peace, honorable invited important guests, it will help us to develop our country and bring development and to improve the living standards of our people. That is the aim at the end of the day. Already now, there's another 50,000 that will go on cantonment sites so that we reach the benchmark. We are told we should not have more than 100,000 soldiers. That is good enough. So it is being implemented. So instead of giving arms embargo, and you are telling us have one unified army, and we don't have the guns to give them, the boots to give them, because a soldier is always proud after putting on his uniform or her uniform, he gets his or her gun. That's become a soldier. But if you are given arms embargo and you are told build now on 100,000 and not more, and we know some countries how many they have. Your Excellencies, ambassadors, I haven't named any of your countries. You can. So we are asking, please lift the sanctions. I know Port says that we cannot talk politics, but if we can't talk politics, how will we have a country and sell your oil, my friend? You see. So that's why we are asking friends who have come here, our fellow ambassadors, most of them very friendly with us, with the Republic of South Sudan. Arms embargo is really an obstacle to a lot of things. Targeted sanctions are harming the future of this country. And the fact that the peace is being implemented is a reality. Let us see how long it will take the peace in Ukraine to be implemented when they sign. Then you can compare us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to laws governing investment, our investment laws are comparably, if not the best in the region. I can bet. You try and look at those laws, our investment laws. They are a win-win laws for the investor and the government. So you have a fair ground for your investment in this country. Peace is holding, stability is coming. We have enormous resources that will take you off when you get involvement. These things are there. It's not fantasy, it's reality. And that's why they call our country the Virgin Territory of Africa. The Virgin Territory of Africa. We have resources which have not yet been exploited. I know in this room there are too many men, as he was saying. You won't understand the word virgin anyway. But the virgin territory in Africa, it means this country has resources, untouched resources. And that's why our government is working for peace and stability, to bring in investment so that with our friends we can work together to develop these resources for the benefit of our people, so that we can give and improve the living standards of our people. As our delegate from South Africa is saying, our women are going, carrying water on their heads, getting firewoods from very difficult forests in order just to prepare a meal for the family. And we have the riches, we have the resources that we can be in a better position. So support the policies of energy, of oil and energy in the Republic of South Sudan, so that we reach our potential to get the enough resources that can make us develop in all the fields we have. Now, these investment laws, they offer incentives to investors in health, education, tourism, hospitality, agriculture, security, services, and even very favorable tax rules that are enshrined in them. In order to facilitate investment, the government has embarked on an interstate infrastructure development by initiating constructions of roads linking production centers to our major towns. We have 14,000 kilometers of roads to be developed, including interroads and including highways. If we were to develop this, and we need money to do that, and oil is helping us do that. As you know, a portion of our oil now is being used in trying to build some of our highways, so that we reach the hinterland where the resources are, so that our people can move and make use of that land. All this, the resources of South Sudan. The government has also formed the National Constitutional Review Amendment Committee, the NCAC, in order to review the laws so as to implement the amendment of our transitional constitution. This is to ensure an effective rule of law in order to prepare an environment which is good for our democratic elections. So while we are implementing our peace agreement, we know where we are going. We are going, at the end of the day, we will have our elections. All these people you see here, our citizens, will choose their leaders. And they will reject those leaders they want to reject. We will have that option. So please be with us. Don't punish us with a carrot stick. Be with us together, shoulder to shoulder, so that we can move in this direction of peace, so that we can implement the agreement peacefully. Yes, there will be delays here and there, because in any agreement, there are silent parts of the agreement that were not discussed between the different parties. And it takes time to review them and discuss them in order to get a solution which is amicable to all. Because at the end of the day, we are going to have elections. We'll have a democratic process. But you prepare the ground for it. Still, my message, the message of the president here, is that sanctions don't help in this direction, even in the direction of having a democratic state. Actually, you hamper it. You actually suffocate the people. That's what happens at the end of the day. And it is the ordinary people, ladies and gentlemen, who suffer. We know that. Back to the oil sector again, in which the subject of this conference, the government will continue to maintain production from the current oil fields by encouraging new investors to join in and acquire oil blocks. I think our experts later will show how much oil we have in this country and actually open the ground, and I'm sure our Minister of Petroleum is doing that, to invite more companies in order to exploit the oil. that we have, to increase our production, not because we want that money to go into the buckets of the corrupt ones, because corruption is everywhere, not South Sudan alone, but everywhere. I will not mention countries, but I know it is everywhere. Our priest, my priest was telling me that, you see, this corruption is serious. He said even in heaven there was corruption. So I said, what happened? He said, you know, Lucifer, who is the devil, Lucifer, was so corrupt and God was so angry. So he decided to expel him from heaven. I said, but the Father now, the devil was expelling has landed on human beings now. Now, where do we expel our corrupt ones? At least Lucifer was sent to us here. So really the issue of corruption, ladies and gentlemen, we can only resolve it by having good laws, good police, so that those who are corrupt, they are taken care of legally. Because you are not guilty until you are proven that you are guilty. So help us have capacity with our police, have capacity with our lawyers, our judicial system, and that's why we are making amendments in our constitution so that there is good governance. So the few who get out of the way are punished through the law, but not to be used as a political weapon to punish a country as a whole, where there are a lot of innocent people. How many of you are here innocent? Anyway, I don't need you to show your hands, but so corruption, you see, is invisible. You can only get this through good legal system, through good governance. So help the country to have those structures. Once they have those structures, they will get them and be dealt with, while also you are responsible for your bad citizen as well as good citizen. These are all citizens for a government to look after. That's why we have prisons, to have them. Now the call for investment must factor into consideration the challenges that come with oil production, such as pollution. The Ministry of Petroleum must prioritize environmental studies with the goal of protecting communities in oil-producing areas from adverse impact of oil-induced pollution, both in new and old production areas. Balancing economic benefits of oil production with protecting our people and their livelihood from pollution is imperative. I think, Honorable Port, this conference is well timed. I saw some conference I attended, you invited me some years ago, which actually opened up, and I notice now you are continuing with this program. Bring our partners, encourage other investors to come so that they can learn more about South Sudan. As you said, the minister was telling me that he had invited a lot of very important American companies. They should have been here, and they had accepted to come. But when the situation in the Sudan happened, everybody said, no, it was not safe. I hope our guests who are here for the first time, you had a good sleep at night, I think. I think your sleep was never disturbed, because you go to Ukraine, whether you'll sleep. That's where the war is. These are things that we would like, peace and stability, which the government is building, will make it possible for conferences like this to invite international partners, regional partners, to come over and help build our country. The President says, I wish you all the best in your discussion as you explore the theme of South Sudan. as the engine of East African growth. We are really engine of growth because we start with our own growth. By exploiting this oil, we start with our own growth, build our roads, our hospitals and all that for the benefit of the region and our own citizens. So the President has welcomed you all to this wonderful, beautiful country, the young nation of the world, the virgin territory of Africa, a welcoming country. And before I conclude, there was the issue of the Sudan. Yes, the issue of the Sudan concerns all of us in South Sudan. That's why our president was engaged and is continually engaged in talking to the political leaders in Khartoum. He's talking both to Burhan and talking also to Imeti that, look, you used to come here every time to Juba. You remember, Burhan came how many times here? Imeti came how many times here? Do you know what they were telling our leaders, political leaders? No, you should not fight. You see, you must live together. You know, your issues of army, unified army is very important, you know. Now, so when our president was talking, was saying, when you were coming telling us to have peace, why are you fighting now? Why are you fighting? And this is, we have so much, I know our minister knows what our pipeline, how it is going. It goes through the Sudan, that carries 85% of our financial resources. So the issue of Sudan is in our hearts. That's why we say, we are one people, but two countries. One people, but two countries. Very unique situation. And I think we should continue to encourage our President Salva Kiir to continue mediating the way he is doing, even if there are institutions which are engaged, like the Jeddah US initiative. He welcomes it. Let them go ahead. If it bring peace, it is good. Other initiative of IGAD. But our own bilateral relationship is so strong that I'm sure we can help them get peace. I'm confident, and I think South Sudanese are aware of that. Again, there is a large number, ladies and gentlemen, especially the partners who are here, and members of the press. We are getting thousands of people. Our border with the Sudan is 2,000 kilometers, and there are 12 points, entry points. And each entry point is not having less than 500 people a day coming in. If you multiply 5 by 12, that is 6,000 a day. But these press who say they are democratic, they are not even saying anything about it. 6,000 a day are coming in. Now we have over 100,000 who have come. And that's why our government took a wise decision. Our government says, let them come in. Whether they have papers or no papers, that is not the issue. Because they are running away from a danger. Now, you tell me one country in the world here that allows people to get into their country without papers. If you tell me one, I'll give you 1 South Sudanese pound. Tell me which country. It's South Sudan today. We have said, our government has said, our president has said, the whole government, the transitional government of national unity, that these people are running away from danger. Let them come in. Papers will be found later. Now let one. You see? So, because that is living as a neighbor. You don't choose your neighbors, do you? Even in the Bible they say, we don't choose our neighbors. Do to your neighbor as you do to yourself. This neighbor now is running. You want, what is your document? What is that? So I think we should congratulate our government, our president, for taking this decision. We are doing the little we can do as an independent government to support these people, but we need help. I understand at the United Nations somewhere, they were saying they were having money for those refugees and returnees, both for Chad and South Sudan. These days they're talking about Chad. Who is taking the money for South Sudan, which was said? Now we will accuse some of corruption, you know. So we really need help. My appeal here to the respectable ambassadors who are here, there's a large number of people coming in. Our government has economic difficulties. We cannot be able to satisfy everything. Our rains are coming. These people are just at the border. Please, we need your assistance. Humanitarian guests, where is the humanitarian law? We need these people to be, support the government. We have a vibrant Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. For the first time to have, Sarah, I'm just saying this. For the first time to have a vibrant humanitarian affairs minister, we need help. And I think this is an appeal that we would like to share with our partners, that this thing is needed so that we can be able to help those who are running away from danger. I can assure you President Salva Kiir Mayardit is continuing talking to Burhan and to Meti nearly every day. Only Meti has to call because he doesn't want his position. If he uses a telephone, he might be hit, so he calls when he's ready. You can see the technology. We need technology for oil, not for hunting people all the time. So on behalf of the President has warmly welcomed you, and he officially declares your conference duly open.